today. Today's class is going to be partly in sitting and partly on your mat. So make sure you have a chair, and that's where we're going to start. For your mat, make sure that you have a bolster. It's the only other thing that you're going to need for today's class. What I'd like you to do is begin sitting partially on your chair. So have it so about half of your leg bone is off the chair and half of your leg bone is on the chair. And then in that position, just get yourself so that you can roll your pelvis forward and backward. And then once you roll yourself forward and backward, kind of find that middle of the road. Chances are if you shift your weight right to left, you'll feel your sit bones. So once you're there, then just allow yourself to hinge slightly forward. Put a little bit of weight in your legs, and then you'll be just in front of those sit bones right where your pelvic floor is. Just allow your shoulders to relax for today. Don't worry too much about shoulder alignment because we're actually going to be using our arms and our shoulders in a few minutes. We're going to actually begin today's class with an anatomy lesson, because I think it's important for you at home to know where your guts live in your stomach. If today what we're going to be doing is working on guts, or what is typically called your viscera. So kind of come along with this journey with me. We're going to kind of go through where mostly everything lives in this area. And then from there, we'll really start moving and getting our class going. So to begin, take your right hand and place your right hand nice and high up on your rib cage, on the side of your body. Then take your left hand and middle finger to middle finger, rest your left hand kind of like up and under your breast tissue or onto the upper part of your rib cage. Now, the entire place that your hand is touching your rib cage right now is where your liver sits. So we're going to begin today's class doing an exercise of breathing for your stomach and your liver. So I want you to understand this is where the liver lives. It's on the right side of your body. All right, so take your hands off. Now let's begin with your left hand. Obviously, if you place your left hand to the front of your throat and you kind of run your finger down the center of your chest, that is where your esophagus sits. So your esophagus is a fairly large muscular tube. It's a hose that generally your food just travels down, come to where your rib cage comes up in the center, and right there is your esophageal sphincter. So if you stick your left index finger right into the very center of where your rib cage ends, you're sitting at about where your esophageal sphincter is. Now here's something really interesting to think about for a second. If you have a hiatal hernia, your esophageal sphincter sits up too high. If you don't have a hiatal hernia, your esophageal sphincter sits right at where the dome of your diaphragm is. So we're going to work on literally treating hiatal hernias and reflux by working on trying to pull that esophageal sphincter south today. All right, so now that you know where really the beginning of your stomach begins, it's right here. Now take your left hand and place your left hand on the left side of your belly. So when I say the left side of your belly, be below your ribs, okay? Once you lay your hand on the left side of your belly, slightly below your ribs, you're sitting on the majority of your stomach. There is a portion of your stomach that sits above, but that's where your stomach sits, on the left side. All right, from there, take your right hand and place it so that your fingers overlap on your belly. Where your right hand now sits is the beginning of your small intestine, called your duodenum. From there, As we move that right hand slightly down towards our left leg, you're now sitting on the portion of your small intestine called your jejunum. Big words, I know, but I want you to see the order of things. Then take that right hand and bring it over towards the right leg. Now you're sitting on what is your ilium. So this entire area right here in the center is your small intestines, your duodenum, your jejunum, and your ilium. A lot of people make the understanding that the small intestine, if it was running length to length, would be the size or length of a football field. So imagine that in here. Now, here's what I want to really teach you guys about your colon. So with that right hand, all right, what I want you to do is come down and feel that right hip pointer. From your right hip pointer right down to where your pelvic floor is, that is where what's called your sigmoid colon lives. Because we're going to massage that later, okay? It's a little bit more of a physical therapy class today, a little bit less of a yoga class, but we'll still make it yoga-ish. So this is your sigmoid colon. Sorry, my bad, you guys. This is the beginning of your colon. Your sigmoid colon is going to be over here on the left side. So on the right side is the beginning of your colon. Sometimes, maybe even some of you doing yoga with me today have had appendicitis. So that appendicitis occurs at the beginning of your colon. All right, now, if you take your fingers from your right hip pointer all the way up to your right rib cage, that is the first part of your colon, called your ascending colon. If you keep your right index finger on the bottom of your rib cage, take your left index finger to the left rib cage, that line across your rib cage, that is the horizontal part of your colon, or what's called your transverse colon. Finally, if you take your right index finger and bring it down to your left hip pointer, that is the descending colon. So the colon is an upside down U. Now, what I was saying before, from your pelvic floor to your left index finger or your left hip bone, that would be where your sigmoid colon is. All right, I know that's a lot of anatomy, but we're actually going to treat every single piece of our guts today. So let's begin with that big, gigantic liver. Even though it's not part of the gut system, I think it's a really nice breathing exercise for you guys to learn. So this is Bumblebee Breath. So here's what you want to think about with Bumblebee Breath. It's a vibration breath. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take your diaphragm, the dome of your diaphragm, and it's basically going to be beating like a drum, your stomach and your liver. So let's go through this breathing exercise, and then we'll move on with starting to treat reflux next. So Bumblebee Breath, the idea is to hum like a bumblebee, So if you took a nice deep inhale in, and then on the exhale, that's exactly what we're going to do. But what is really nice to do with Bumblebee Breath is you're going to get rid of your senses. So here's what you're going to do. Take your fingers and cover your eyes, and take your thumbs and close off your ears. Now, I know you have to hear me, so maybe watch me for one breath, and then you can close off if you want to for 2 more breaths. So once your eyes are closed and your ears are closed, you're going to take a deep inhale into your nose, and then start to hum like a bumblebee. It's as simple as that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 bumblebee breaths. What I want you to do with your humming, with the exhaling that's happening through your nose, is count downward from 10. Let's give it a try. Close off the eyes, close off the ears. Take a nice deep inhale in and exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Take a deep inhale and start humming. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's as simple as that. So Bumblebee Breath, what it does is it kind of wakes up your liver and it wakes up your stomach. It's also known as the detoxification breath to the liver. So if your liver's a little stagnant, or it has been that you've maybe imbibed in a little bit too much medication that gets processed through the liver, or alcohol that gets processed through the liver, sometimes working Bumblebee Breath can kind of get your liver working a little bit more optimally. All right, so let's move on to doing something about reflux and something about hiatal hernias. It's not that difficult to treat with doing movements of your body. Problem is, we always go right to the medications. So let me teach you a technique that you can work on treating hiatal hernias and treating reflux the next time it's happening to you. So first things first, you need to know that you have to be able to do cat-cow in sitting. So before we place our fingers on our esophageal sphincter, make sure that you can completely collapse yourself down, including your head. That's going to be the starting position. Then we're going to position our fingers right where I showed you that xiphoid process, or that sphincter was. So take 2 fingers on each side of your hand, stay slumped, and then take your fingers and place them up and into the center where those ribs kind of come together in the middle of your belly. Very nice. Now in this position, keep your head downward looking at your feet. Allow yourself to slowly start to lift up with your rib cage first. Start to arch through your low back. Start to pull your shoulders back, and then start to lengthen through your neck. Now, the entire time that you do that cow pose in sitting, what you're going to be doing with your fingers is pulling down. So what we're trying to do is to stretch our esophagus and pull that esophageal sphincter south. So now let's go through that with two different times with 2 different breaths. So go ahead and pull yourself all the way down into flexion or into an angry cat pose. Make sure to drop your head down too. Take those fingers and come in and get into where your abdomen muscles are. Allow yourself to kind of tuck in there where the rib cage comes up and meets. Now, very gently, don't cause pain. Start to pull your fingers downward lightly. Now, begin to slowly inhale, lifting the rib cage up. Keep pulling the fingers down, letting the pelvis go into length, shoulder blades back. Keep inhaling and look up to the ceiling. Good. Now exhale and curl everything down and pull your fingers down a little bit more. Let's try it again. Inhale, begin to lift the rib cage, lengthen through the pelvis and the spine, shoulders back and down, and lengthen that neck upward. And then exhale and curl everything down as you pull. Now, without a nice deep breath this time, can you hold that down and very slowly bring yourself back up into a seated position? Relax your arms down, lengthen your neck, and settle your chin. So reflux, where your esophagus is either getting too much acid from your stomach, or the esophageal sphincter is just struggling to close because it might be pulled up too high, you now have the perfect exercise to attempt to fix it yourself. Doesn't mean stop your medication. Follow what your doctor tells you to do, but I want to give you some nice, good tricks of the trade in the physical therapy world to think about treating it a little bit more naturally. All right, let's do a little opening of the side of our body in the seated position in our chair before we take it down to our mat. So one thing I want to talk about today is a lot of times in yoga, we always stretch the right side of our body first, and then we stretch the left side of our body second. There's a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. If you think about what I told you about your colon begins on your right side and it ends on your left side. So oftentimes when you stretch your right side first, you're getting your colon moving in the direction to allow positive things to happen, to get good movement out of your body. So let's go and get a nice good length through the side of our body here. So make sure you've got good weight into your feet. Take your left hand today and just basically sit on it. Allow your shoulder blades to be back and down. Take an inhale and lift your right arm up. And then as you exhale, just let your left elbow bend and bend your body weight up and over your left leg. Now, think about the space from your rib cage to your pelvis. If you turn, can you see that opens up? Now take a deep inhale and lift that rib cage up, and then on the exhale, let it side bend a bit. Can you drop your right sit bone down and maybe pull the pelvis away from the rib cage? Now really focus on breathing into that colon right there. Nice deep inhale in and exhale out. Keep that armpit up. One more, nice deep inhale in and exhale out. Very nice. Inhale the arm up and then exhale the arm down. All right, let's now do the left side. So the colon that drops downward. So take your right hand and sit on it in your chair. Take an inhale up with your left arm and side bend over to the right. Let the right elbow bend. Take the weight into the right leg. Now turn that armpit upward towards the ceiling. In that position, you're trying to increase the length between your rib cage and your pelvis. So take an inhale and lift the rib cage up, and then as you exhale, see if you can side bend and lengthen that descending colon. Now, really sit into your left sit bone. See if you can get that stretch even into your low back. Deep inhale into the left side of your belly here. Stretch out that colon. And then as you exhale, can you fall a little bit further? One more breath. Nice deep inhale in. And then exhaling out. Very nice. Inhaling up and then exhaling your arm down. Okay. Now we're making it down to our mat. So simply all I want you to do is take your chair, move it out of your way, and then find your way down to your mat, having your bolster beside your mat. You're down on your mat. Let's begin in hands and knees. Again, we're going to open up the right side first and the left side second. So let's talk about hands and knees and good alignment in hands and knees. Check in that your knees are hip distance apart, so that's 2 fist width between your knees. Gaze back and make sure that you can't see your feet on the inside or the outside. Stack your hips directly on top of your knees, and then walk your hands forward so that your elbows and your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. Check in that your index fingers are the fingers that are pointing forward, and really pull your thumbs inward. In that position then, spread out the outer 3 fingers so that when you push into your arms, the weight comes into the index, the pad of the index, the pad of the thumb, and into the thumb. So that's your weight-bearing component of your hands. All right, let's go through 3 cat-cows. So take an inhale, sink the belly, lift the tailbone, shoulder blades back, lengthen the neck and look upward. And then as you exhale, tuck that tailbone, pull that belly up, rib cage. Can you get it as close to your pelvis? Spread the shoulder blades, neck down, look into your belly button. 2 more times, inhaling, sinking everything down, looking up as you lengthen your esophagus. And then as you exhale, pulling everything up, shortening your stomach and squeezing your guts. 1 more time, inhaling, lengthening and lengthening and lengthening. And then as you exhale, curl everything under, lengthen your neck, chin to chest, holding this position, and slowly sit back into child's pose. Now, as you sit back into child's pose today, get your hips as close to your heels as is comfortable for your hips and your knees. But then what I want you to do is really focus on trying to take your chest and line it up with your knees. So take a deep inhale, tuck your tailbone under, and then pull your rib cage forward towards your knees. Finally, lengthen your neck and take the crown of your head and gently rest it onto the floor. Soften your elbows and just let your elbows lay beside you. Now, in this position, you have completely shortened your abdominal contents. So it's a great opportunity to use your diaphragm and massage all of your guts. So take a deep inhale and push your belly down into your thighs. And then as you exhale, just gently let the air come out. 2 more breaths. Nice deep inhale in. And then as you exhale, gently let the air come out. 1 more breath, deep inhale in. And exhaling as you let the air come out. Very nice. Coming back up into hands and knees, starting to work again on that colon. So in hands and knees position, please check your alignment. Once you've checked your alignment, take your feet and slide your feet to the left side of your mat so that your right heel is in the center of your mat. Keep your pelvis pointed straight down to the mat, but then in this position, take your right hand and walk it over to the opposite side of your left hand. So you're crisscrossing your hands. Once you've crisscrossed your hands, there's a space between your arms that you can just gently drop your head. So imagine how much we're now lengthening through this ascending colon here. So in this position, take an inhale and lift your tailbone, let your belly sink, pull your shoulder blades back and down. And then as you exhale, pull the belly up and in and tuck the tailbone, and then try to sit your tailbone back to your right heel. As you sit your tailbone back to your right heel, feel the stretching through the back side of that right colon. Now, keeping yourself here, can you reach a little bit more with your right hand? Take a deep inhale in, and then as you exhale, can you tuck a little bit more with your tailbone? 1 more breath. Inhaling, reaching with your right hand, and exhaling, tucking with your tailbone. Then inhaling, bringing yourself all the way back, repositioning yourself in cat-cow, and then sweeping your feet to the right side of your mat. So have it that your left heel is in the center of your mat. Taking your left hand, walking it up and over the right hand so that they're crossed. Nice little place for your head to drop between your arms. Now in this position, take an inhale and sink everything down, working on that descending colon now. And then as you exhale, curl everything up, drop your head, and then slowly settle yourself down towards your left heel. Once you find yourself there with that left hand, inhale and reach that left hand away. And then on the exhale, really tuck that tailbone under and try to stretch through that left part of your colon. Nice deep inhale in, and then as you exhale, tuck and tuck and tuck. Then inhaling yourself all the way back up. Now, we're going to do puppy pose. So what is the benefit of puppy pose? Well, puppy pose is sort of a modification on downward dog, but it's really just a way to get good extension through the center of your back. So again, imagine you're that person that esophageal sphincter is just kind of riding too high. Sometimes if you get additional extension, you can allow it to be stretched enough that it comes down. So let's go through puppy pose here. Make sure your hips are stacked directly on top of your knees. Where your hands normally are, So where you see where your wrists are, gently allow yourself to drop down onto your elbows. So at this point, all of your guts start to flow up into your diaphragm. Once you've made it to here, what I now want you to do is imagine where your chest bone is or your sternum. Gently start to drop that chest bone or that sternum towards the floor. And then gently, if you can, allow your arms to come out. Now, full puppy pose creates full elongation of your esophagus as well. But if you have neck issues, allow yourself to just gently turn your head to your left or your right. If you don't have neck issues, allow yourself to let that chin lift up. If you've got shoulder issues, just gently bring your arms out to the side for puppy pose. It's still doing what it needs to do for your guts. Now in puppy pose, take an inhale into your belly. And then on the exhale, gently allow the chest to fall further towards the floor, ladies and gentlemen. Stretch out through that esophagus. One more time, nice deep inhale in. And then as you exhale, drop that chest, drop that sternum bone towards the floor and get that good esophagus stretch. Then very gently walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and bring yourself up into your hands and knees. Now, grab your bolster and place your bolster to the center of your mat. So what we're going to do now is create length through the side of our colon again, but we're going to add some rotation to it. So allow yourself to place your left hip bone right to the base of your bolster. Legs can be stacked. Have your shin bones in line with the outside of your mat. From here, what you want to work on doing is taking your entire rib cage and dropping it up and over the bolster. So you can allow your head to drop to the floor. Arm can be resting straight out in front of you. However, if you have neck issues and that is uncomfortable for you, just gently allow yourself to support your head with the arm that's underside. Also, if you do have a yoga block at home, you could use the yoga block to support your head in this position. Once you find yourself in this sideward bend position, it's very common for us to let ourselves roll forward and not let ourselves stack our shoulders and stack our pelvis. So pull that right pelvic bone back, make sure that your knees are in alignment, and then stack those shoulders up so that your chest is in alignment with the rib cage. Now you can start to see the length that is happening through those stomach muscles or the ascending colon that's on this right side. From here, take your right leg and inhale it straight out. And then as you exhale, gently lay it down onto the mat. Now, we want to get that stretch into your appendix right here, also called your cecum, where it connects. So in order to get a little bit of a stretch into this part of your ascending colon, take that right leg, ladies and gentlemen, left leg is holding the bolster, and slide it back to that back edge of your mat. Now, here's the important thing. Take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck your tailbone under. You will feel stretching through here. Yes, it's a portion of your hip flexors, but you're also getting your appendix, your cecum, and your ascending colon. Right arm, take an inhale here, and on the exhale, drop that arm up and over if you can. Now, can you check in that your armpit is still up towards the sky? All right, nothing to do but to breathe. So hold this position, keep that tailbone tucked under to stretch through the front of that pelvis area and really get into that area where your colon begins. Take a nice deep inhale into your belly and exhale out. Let's do 2 more times. Deep inhale into your belly and exhale out. Keep your pelvis tucked under. Deep inhale into your belly, armpit up, and exhaling out. Great. Now with your right hand, inhale that arm up and then exhale it downward. And then with your right leg, inhale it up. Let's work a bit of hip strength here. And then slowly exhale it in and stack it on top of the left leg. Using your top arm, push yourself back up into a seated position. Now for you at home, if you want, you can simply do on 180 and do it so that you're on the opposite side of the bolster. I'm going to move my bolster so that I'm still facing you. Having the bolster still in the center of your mat, now take your right hip bone and place the right hip bone to the bolster. Stack the knees and the legs up and line them up with the side of your mat. From here, gently allow yourself to bring your entire rib cage up and over. Inhale your arm up. And then as you exhale, bring your arm over. Inhale your arm back up and then relax your arm down. Guys, we forgot to do the left leg first. So rest your head with your arm. Allow yourself to be right here. Let's focus on that leg first so we can get that part of the colon that's descending down into our sigmoid colon or our rectum. So first, let yourself be in a position that pelvis is stacked and shoulders are stacked and you feel like you're nice and straight up and over your bolster. With your left leg first, sorry about that, take an inhale and lengthen your leg straight out, and then as you exhale, drop your leg down onto the mat. Keep the right leg up to your bolster. Now, with the left leg, let's create length through that colon. So just slowly slide it back until you get to the back edge of your mat. From here, allow yourself to take that tailbone and tuck it under as you tighten through the abdominals and get the stretch to the front of the left hip. Now let's do the arm. Inhale that left arm up, and then as you exhale, reach it up and over. Now, as you reach it up and over, make sure that that armpit reaches up to the ceiling. Take a deep inhale here, and on the exhale, keep that tailbone tucked under. Very nice. Now let's breathe into that area of the colon. Deep inhale in and exhaling out. So beautiful. Let's do 2 breaths like we did on the right side more. Nice deep inhaling in and exhaling out. One more breath, deep inhaling inward and exhaling outward. Inhaling, lifting that left arm up, and then as you exhale, dropping the arm down, and then pushing yourself back up into a seated position. Now, we're gonna do one more thing with our bolster before we make our way down to our mat. So here's the thing. Remember that hiatal hernia that we did in sitting? You can also do it laying down, and this is what I really want to show you. So if you take your bolster and you place it behind you, keep your knees bent up so there's a little bit of protection for your low back. Just allow yourself to kind of rest back on the bolster like you're just reclining, you're just chilling. Have one hand to support your neck and your head. So it can be your right hand, ladies and gentlemen, or it can be your left hand. I'm just going to use my left hand so that I'm not in the way of the screen. With the opposite hand, remember where those rib cage muscles, those rib cage bones come up and meet your abdominal muscles in the center? Again, that's where our sphincter is. So kind of poke in there. Sometimes it's tender. You might even feel it's a little bit more tender when you're in this position versus in the sitting position. Hold into that place with just a couple of fingers and then just very gently pull it downwards towards where your heels are. Now allow yourself to take an inhale and gently let yourself fall over that bolster. So you're doing extension and really pulling and stretching that esophagus as you anchor it down with your fingers. Slowly bring it back up. Always do it on the inhale. Here we go. Inhale, let yourself fall back and over that bolster. Please support your neck. And then you can exhale and come back up again. Let's try one more time. Grab a hold of that space between where your rib cage ends. Just gently push it down. Take that inhale and very slowly let your rib cage fall up and over that bolster. You can exhale and come back up again. All right, gently roll over to your side and then push yourself up. So if working on reflux or a hiatal hernia isn't that comfortable to do in sitting, mostly because your abdominals could be pretty tight, sometimes it's easier to do over a bolster or over some pillows. So that's a second way to work on that. All right, let's move on with making our way down to our mat. So what I'd like you to do is just gently allow yourself to lay down through your side and then roll over onto your back. So let's one more time stretch through the bases of our colon, and then we're really gonna get into the guts of the matter. So allow yourself to start with your left knee to your chest today. So today is just about the guts. So we're gonna make sure that we start stretching the right colon first. So take your left knee to your chest and then gently let your right leg go straight. Nice deep inhale here. And then on the exhale, pull your left knee into your chest. Stay here, but let's now take a breath to engage our abdominals and stretch through here. So take a nice deep inhale in, and then on the exhale, can you also tighten your abdominals and give a little push or a little squeeze of that guts moving? Holding here with the left knee to the chest. Now really focus on taking a nice deep inhale into your belly and exhale out. One more breath. Deep inhale into your belly and exhale out. Beautiful. Now right leg, slide it on up. Left leg, relax it down. Take your right knee to your chest now, and then take your left leg and slide it down, focusing on the left side of your colon. So again, that's your descending colon making its way down to its rectum. So take a deep inhale here, and on the exhale, pull your right knee into your chest. Now do one good squeeze of the gut area. So take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck the tailbone under and tighten the abdominals. Really nice. Now relax those abdominals. 2 good breaths here. So take a deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. One more breath. Deep inhale in and exhaling out. Beautiful. Slide the left leg up and relax the right foot to the floor. All right, now we're going to begin working on some massage of our guts. We went through the anatomy in sitting, but you have changed your body position, so I want to make sure that everybody is with me here. So in this position, if you take your left hand and place it to the center of your belly, you're sitting on the beginning of your small intestines. If you then bring your left hand down towards the left leg, but stay in your belly, you're into the middle part of your small intestine. Then if you take your left hand towards the right leg, you're on the end of your small intestine. So if you can see that, using your left hand or your right hand, it's kind of like a circular motion. And if you think about your hand being at the top of the clock, and there's a face of a clock sitting on top of your belly, move the clock to 3 o'clock, and then to 6 o'clock, and then to 9 o'clock, and then back up to 12. So you're going in a clockwise direction to really focus on massaging your small intestine. Now let's take it a step further. So if we want to massage and lengthen the first part of our small intestine. Try this with me. Walk your feet to the left edge of your mat and gently let your feet fall to the right. Can you feel the opening that's occurring on this left side? Now gently have the hand, if there's a clock here, have the hand at the 12 o'clock and slowly move to 3 o'clock, to 6 o'clock, to 9 o'clock, and up to 12. 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and up to 12. Now let's breathe with this. Can you take a nice deep inhale and expand your belly as you go to 3, as you go to 6, as you go to 9, as you go to 12. Can you slowly exhale and go to 3, and go to 6, and go to 9, and go to 12. One more time. Inhale the belly, hold it, go to 3, go to 6, go to 9, go to 12. And exhaling, go to 3, go to 6, go to 9, and go to 12. Very nice. Bringing your knees back up, walking your feet to the right side of your mat. Nothing changes with your massage. So we're still going in that clockwise direction to get our small intestine moving. But gently allow your knees to fall to the left side. So now you're opening more the right side of the small intestine. Place your hand in the center of your belly. Imagine the clock being there. Starting at the 12, let's just do it once without breath first. So from 12, go to 3, go to 6, go to 9, and come back to 12. Very nice. Now let's try that with 2 breaths. So take a nice deep inhale in as you go to 3 o'clock, to 6 o'clock, to 9 o'clock, and to 12, and then exhale to 3 o'clock, to 6 o'clock, to 9 o'clock, and to 12. One more time. Inhaling 3, and 6, and 9, and 12, and exhaling 3, and 6, and 9, and 12. Very, very nice. Slowly bring your knees back up to the center. Walk your feet to the center of the mat and then bring both of your knees to your chest. Shortening and now squeezing like you just filled up a big sponge and now you're squishing all of that air or all of that water or whatever out of the sponge. Take a deep inhale here and then as you exhale, pull your knees all the way to your chest. You've got it 2 more times. Deep inhale, push into your thighs as you inhale, and as you exhale, pull your knees to your chest. Just one more time, deep inhaling in, and exhaling, pulling your knees to your chest. Very nice. Now slowly dropping your feet down to your mat, and taking your feet wider than your hips. But resting your knees upward, resting your feet flat. Now, the final thing we're going to be working on for our guts today is we're going to be working on what is called I love you massage. So think about the letters that begin those words. So I love you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work on massaging the entire large intestines. And the direction of the large intestines is going to be like the I, like the L, and like the U. So let's see if we can do this all together. Before doing I love you massage, I like to teach my patients to start at their left pointer of their hips. So find the left pointer of your hips, please. Once you've found the left pointer of your hips, just kind of go in there and give it a little bit of a massage down to your pelvic bone. So essentially all you're doing is you're kind of starting with massaging your sigmoid colon. And so as you massage your sigmoid colon, you're kind of loosening up anything that might be on its way out already. And so this is a great exercise, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that's experiencing any amount of constipation or maybe just a less than frequent stool movement. Very good. Now, take your hands and find that left point of your rib cage. So come right to the top of the left rib cage. Let's start with the I of the I love you. So just gently move your fingers down in a nice, good massaging motion towards your left hip pointer. And if you really want to, you can go towards the left hip pointer and maybe a little bit in towards the pelvic bone. And so that would be the I of the I love you. All right, let's do the L. So now take your fingers over to the right part of the rib cage and sweep across your rib cage and down to the left hip pointer. Fingertips to the right part of the rib cage, sweep across your rib cage and then down to your left hip pointer. That's it. Now you're making the L of the I love you. So you can do that over and over and over again. Now let's go to the U. So it's an upside down U, ladies and gentlemen. Take your fingers, please, and find your right hip pointer. Move up and over and down. So there's the U of I love you massage. Start at the right hip pointer, move up and over and down, and maybe end into the pubic area. Right hip pointer up to the right rib cage, over to the left rib cage, down to the left hip pointer, and then maybe into the pubic area. Now let's make this a little yoga-ish. So let's see if we can combine I love you massage with breath. So lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Allow your fingertips to come up to the left part of your rib cage. Take a nice deep inhale in, expand your rib cage, and as you exhale, massage down to the left hip pointer, maybe even to the pubic bone. Back up to the left rib cage. Take a deep inhale in. Exhaling, dropping down to the left hip pointer and maybe even into the pubic area. One more breath, deep inhale in. Exhaling down to the left hip pointer and maybe even into the pubic bone. You've got it. Let's do the L. Come over to the right part of the rib cage. Take a deep inhale in. As you exhale, sweep to the left rib cage and keep exhaling down to the left hip bone and down to the pubic bone. Come back up to the right rib cage. Deep inhale in. And then as you exhale, sweep over to the left rib cage, down to the left hip bone and down to the pubic bone. One more time, right rib cage, nice deep inhale in. And as you exhale, sweep over to the left rib cage, down to the left hip bone, and then to the pubic bone. Now let's do the U. So start with your fingertips at the right hip bone. Take a deep inhale, expand your belly. And then as you exhale, up to the right rib cage, over to the left rib cage, down to the left hip bone, and to the pubic bone. Two more breaths. Start at the right hip bone. Inhaling here. Exhaling gently up to the right rib cage, over to the left rib cage, down to the left pelvic bone, and out to the pubic bone. Final time. Right pelvic bone. Take a deep inhale in. Exhaling up to the right hip rib cage, left rib cage, down to the left hip bone, and out to the pubic bone. There you go. Full I love you massage. Really enticing. Hopefully the best bowel movement ever. All right, let's go ahead and start with getting into our spinal twist now. So let's begin today with taking our right leg down. Take your left leg and place it on your right thigh. Right hand, reach up and grab your left knee. Left arm, gently place it out to the side of your body. Take a nice deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, begin to twist the left knee to the right, starting to squeeze and pinch that right rib cage. Moving things out of the way there. Continue twisting as the back lifts, the rib cage lifts, but keep your left shoulder blade down. Lengthen through your neck, allow your chin to settle, and then slowly let your head counter twist to the left side. Can you gaze at your left thumb? Taking a nice deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, slowly letting yourself relax in your spinal twist. Take a deep inhale into your belly here. And then exhaling out. One more time, deep inhale in. And then exhaling out. Gently start with untwisting the head first. Then go to the rib cage and de-rotate the rib cage, rotate the lumbar spine, drop the pelvis down, and then unrotate that left knee. Gently place the left foot on the floor, slide the right leg up, and then repeating, dropping the left leg down, allowing yourself to take the right foot and place it onto the left thigh. Left arm, grab the right knee, right arm up and over to the side of your body. And taking a deep inhale here, and then on the exhale, allowing yourself to twist the right knee to the left, squeezing out the left side of your gut second. Keeping the right shoulder blade down, but allowing yourself to lengthen your neck and then gently rotate your head to the right. Taking a deep inhale into your belly here. And then exhaling out. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Gazing at that right hand, can you take a nice deep inhale into your belly? And then exhaling out. One more time, deep inhale into your belly. And then exhaling out. Slowly turning your head back to the center, starting with that right rib cage and slowly bringing the right rib cage, the right low back and the right pelvis, and then bringing the right knee back up, dropping the right foot to the floor, and then gently pulling the left knee back up. All right, now let's do full squeezing of all of the guts today, but really allow ourselves to open up through the pelvic floor. So the final exit point, let's end our class opening up through the final exit point. So let's do wind relieving pose. So take your right knee up and your left knee up, but have your knees wide as your shoulders, maybe even a little wider. Holding a little lower down onto your shin bones, allowing yourself to picture that you're trying to take your knee into your armpits. So take a deep inhale here, and then on the exhale, really pull your knees into your armpits. Now, not the time to do laughter yoga, ladies and gentlemen, but can you check in with your feet that your feet haven't pulled together? Because if your feet pull together, you're not getting the length through your pelvic floor that we want. So widen your feet nice and wide. Now, take the deepest inhale you can and feel that expansion through your pelvic floor as you squish all your guts. And then as you exhale, relaxing out. It is called wind relieving pose for a reason. Let's do 2 more breaths here. Nice deep inhale into your belly, and then exhale out. One more breath, deep inhale into your belly, and then exhaling out. Beautiful. Bringing your knees back to the center first. Dropping 1 foot at a time down to your mat, and then keeping your spine nice and gently relaxed onto the floor. Slowly allowing the right leg to come down to the right corner of your mat, and then the left leg to come down to the left corner of your mat. Resting your rib cage nice and level, so making sure that your rib cage isn't poking up to the sky, but that you've got your rib cage resting down onto the mat. Really allowing all of the marvelous work that we've done for our guts today to take a moment to rest. Lengthen your neck and settle your chin into your chest. Rest your arms out to the side and check in that you've kind of rolled your shoulder blades underneath you and your palms are gently lifted. Take your tongue and rest your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Gently close your eyes and rest your eyeballs into the sockets of your eyes. Now we're going to end today with diaphragmatic breaths. And so all I want you to do is gently take the deepest inhale into your belly that you can. Take this opportunity with your body being still to get the biggest massage now that you've loosened everything up. And then as you exhale, just gently let that air come out through your nose. Let's repeat that 4 more times. Deep inhale into your belly. Feel the stretch as you pull all that air into the abdomen and increase the abdominal pressure. And then gently let the air come out. Inhaling, deeply expanding the pressure of the belly and the abdomen. And then slowly letting that air come out. 2 more times. Deep inhale into the belly. And slowly exhale, exhaling the air out through the nose. 1 more breath, inhaling into the belly. And slowly exhaling out. Allow your breath just to return to a normal breath. Keeping your body nice and still. Can you just see if you can focus on where the breath goes into the belly as you keep your body still? Now gently start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then when you're ready, slide one leg up, gently followed by the other. Slowly let yourself roll over onto your side and just rest there for a minute. Take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, stay resting here. On your next exhale, allow yourself to use that top arm and push yourself up into a seated position. Finding that seated position, legs in a simple tailor sit. Hands gently to the center of our heart. Take a nice deep inhale here. And exhaling out. Namaste. The highest in me salutes the highest in you. Thank you.